The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Family, lean in. Today we are not talking about news. We are talking about destiny. On this 6th day of March 2026, a voice of fire has emerged from Kenya. Professor Fred Ogola has stepped into the light to tell us what the masses are whispering in their secret chambers. He says the fire burning in Tehran is not just about Iran. He says the missiles falling in the Middle East are a warning shot for Africa. Today, G1 brings you Ogola's manifesto. We are looking at why the professor says the master is using Israel as a gateway to recolonize our soil while we are still sleeping. History is a teacher that the masters want to fire. Professor Ogola reminds us that for over a century, Africa was denied the right to govern itself. We were treated as children in our own home. He looks back at the 1903 Uganda scheme, where the founders of Zionism almost carved out a Jewish state in the heart of the Nandi territory. He is asking us today, do you think they have forgotten the map? He wants that the history of apartheid in South Africa is being mirrored in the West Bank and Gaza. And if Africa does not wake up, we will find ourselves living in a global apartheid where the masters decide who is and who stuff based on an algorithm.
Africa must seize its strategic moment in a fragmented world. The escalating tensions involving the United States, Israel and Iran are not distant events. They are a stress test for the global order and a defining moment for Africa. When mega powers clash, Africa absorbs shockwaves, rising fuel prices, food insecurity, fertilizer shortages, currency instability, and capital flight. Yet, we Africans are rarely in the room when decisions are being made that affect Africa. That must change. Africa must stop absorbing global shocks and start shaping global decisions. This is not about choosing sides. It's about choosing strategy. Africa holds 54 votes at the United General Assembly. That is one of the largest voting blocs in the world. But when fragmented, those votes lose power. Fragmentation dilutes power. Coordination creates leverage. Under the African Union, our nations can act as a decisive diplomatic force, shaping resolutions, demanding reforms, and advancing peace rooted in justice. Africa must embrace strategic non-alignment 2.0, not passively neutral, but disciplined, economically driven diplomacy. No non-alignment must evolve from ideology to economic strategy. Africa, Middle East instability is not abstract. It hits our budgets directly because it leads to higher energy prices, rising food imports bills, inflation, and debt pressure. These are not headlines. They are budget lines. Africa must push for 1, crisis-triggered debt relief mechanisms for Africa. 2, protection of essential commodity supply chains. And emergency liquidity support for developing economies. If global stability is public good, its costs must be shared fairly. At the same time, Africa's strategic value is rising. Energy producers like Nigeria, Angola, Algeria, and Libya become central during supply chain disruptions. Our critical minerals power the global energy transition. But we must avoid repeating history. Africa must export value, not vulnerability. This means local refining capacity, petrochemical industries, industrial corridors, technology transfer agreements. Security autonomy is also economic policy. A properly financed African standby force strengthens our bargaining power and reduces our external dependency. Strategic autonomy strengthens economic sovereignty. Finally, Africa's exclusion from permanent representative at the UN Security Council is no longer just a diplomatic complaint. It's a structural flaw in global governance. Peace without representation is procedural injustice. Reform is not charity. It is risk management for a changing world. Africa stands at a Solomonic moment, one that demands wisdom, balance, and strategic clarity. We must be neither reactive nor ideological. We must be rational and Solomonic. The world is fragmenting. Supply chains are regionalizing. Power is diffusing. Those who organize strategically will shape the future. Africa has the numbers. Africa has the resources. Africa has the demographic momentum. What remains is coordination. History rewards prepared actors. This may well be Africa's strategic moment, a gift from the gods. Africa, Mother Africa, seize it. God bless you, God bless Africa, and God bless Kenya.
Look at the screen. While the masters in Washington are praying in the Oval Office, the professor is shouting in the streets. He says, Operation Epic Fury as a mission to prove that might is right, quote and end of quote. Ogola is warning the AES and the whole continent. The masters are using Israel as their anchor in the East to control the world's energy life. He says if Africa continues to host these foreign bases, we are not partners, we are targets. He is calling out the hypocrisy of a rule of law that breaks the arms of its own veterans but funds the destruction of sovereign nations. The proverb says, a bird that flies off the earth and lands on ant hill is still on the ground. Professor Ogola is telling African leaders that changing your master from the west to the east is not freedom. He says Africa cannot solve its problem without being treated like an adult. He says we are devolving when we should be involving. We are fighting over tribalism and corruption while the masters are fighting over our minerals and our future. He warns that a leader who accepts a bribe for a base is a leader who is selling his grandchildren into a new form of digital slavery. This is a professor's final warning for March 2026. Africa must act now or be left behind. He says the masters are distracted by Iran, but their eyes are still on our gold, our lithium, and our youth. He is telling the youth, the educated and the frustrated, that you are the true lions. Do not wait for a master to give you a job. Take your sovereignty. He says the AES is the first crack in the wall. So as African youth, we need to understand those of us who are supporting blindly without any knowledge, just because we love religion, we decide to go to a place that the people are still thinking of coming back to colonize you in Africa. Iran is fighting for sovereignty, the same thing that we the Africans have refused to fight for. And these people are coming back into Africa. They made this statement in Davos when they met that they need to unite and come back into Africa and recolonize us the second time. And you, the African youth, you are still here thinking that because of religion, you need to support another side against Iran. Iran is fighting for freedom. Iran is fighting for sovereignty. And when they are done with the Middle East, they didn't hide it. You are next. Africa is next. Like the professor said, they will not decide who is and who starves. So you, in Africa, seeing what is happening in the Middle East to be far, and because you're a Christian, you love what they are doing. Wake up, African youth. Like majority of us, this is what Mensa Otabil will say, foolish born-again Christians who are only believers are not thinkers. And it is time for us in Africa to start using the brain capacity, the brain box. Like the Chinese businessman made it clear to us that as Africans, we need to use our brain. It's very important. It's very important. The African youth has allowed a lot of things to blindfold us to the point that when we even see the truth, we find it so difficult to speak about it because we believe in religion. And religion is what will send us to where they will not decide who eats and who starves. What is happening in Iran? And Iranians are fighting for their sovereignty. If we don't come together now and unite and kick out all these foreign bases when they start throwing and redirecting the conflict into Africa, you and I will suffer. You know, as Africans, we have a nuclear weapon. And the only nuclear weapon we have in Africa is nuclear family. You understand how we are so strong and we can defend ourselves. Even the people, the richest allies in the Gulf states are struggling. Their technology isn't helping. How about you, the African who has nothing? And all you do is to believe in religion blindly. If you know what Iran is fighting for, nobody will tell you to wish Iran success. Because if they are able to defeat the same people who are planning to come into Africa, you and I will be free. If you don't know, wake up. Mensa Otabil will say, foolish born-again Christians who are only believers are not thinkers. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa, East Africa, and in Kenya.